How do you study Thai? What are the challenges of studying Thai? Is it possible to study Thai? Is it necessary to study Thai? So today we just wanted to have a conversation for those who either are missionaries already or are thinking about being missionaries, are anxious about whether they could really learn a language and what it takes to learn Thai. So this will be especially relevant for those of you who are working in Thailand or thinking about working in Thailand, but we're really hoping this will be a conversation about missions and language learning in general that'll be helpful to people around the world who are thinking about doing cross-cultural ministry. So, Larry, it's fantastic that we can talk about this. You've been in Thailand 46 years. I've been here like 10, 15 years, depending upon how you count it.
Yes.
We both learned Thai. We don't sound like natives, but we can teach, we can preach, we can talk to the police, we can talk to the handyman, and do what needs to be done. So here in Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, there's lots of foreigners. There's Westerners, there's Chinese, there's lots of folks. Some learn Thai and some don't. I meet a number of missionaries who they don't learn Thai. So the question comes up, why bother learning Thai? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? Can't you just get by without it? You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think just tell a short story. Probably 20 years ago, there were two young men in their early 20s that came on a short-term mission trip with what's called Serve Asia. And they were doing just 1 year. And I determined that the best thing they could do, because language learning is ministry. It's not like you think about ministry way after you finish your language learning. The process of learning a language is ministry. And so I had them go 6 months down to the Daniel Learning Center. And I can remember them being young people wanting to be very active in ministry, and they chafed under that restriction. Afterwards, however, they came up to Chiang Mai area and they worked in a Korean church. And I could tell, because they had more than even survival Thai, they started to actually make relationships and actually do genuine ministry. I've seen one of them 20 years later, and he actually thanked me in a special way for forcing him and his friend to do the 6 months, even though they only ended up with 6 months of real opportunity in a Korean Thai church. So I just think that speaks a lot, that the process of learning language ended up, the 6 months they did have, I think was very fruitful, mainly because they had that level of relational connection that they wouldn't have had if they had to be translated from English or if they didn't even have survival Thai.
What you just described there, that's a really common occurrence. Back then, now, because you have people who come to the field, whether it's for a year or they're thinking 4 years or 5 years or, many, many years, and they've spent years in undergraduate, they've gone to Bible college maybe, they've spent time support raising, they've gone around to churches. They spent a lot of time in order to get to the mission field. And they come here and they think, like, finally I get to do ministry. Yeah. And then this obstacle of language learning hits them in the face. And you have supporters sometimes at home who are, writing to you. It's like, hey, you've been there 3 months already. How many people have you converted? Right. So sometimes there's this pressure, either external or internal, that people just want to, get on and do ministry. Right. Language study feels like an inconvenience. It's like, let's get on with it.
Yes. And today we have that many more distractions. I think we're talking about a period where we didn't have so much cell phone usage and internet. The travel was much more difficult, because I know people that go back home maybe in their first term a couple of times back to the States for various reasons. And I think in one word, the obstacle or the challenge of language learning in Thailand today is distractions.
Yeah.
And when I came, I didn't have a TV, didn't even have air conditioning, and I didn't have opportunities to pull my time away from language learning, and I got into an immersive type context in a country situation. And to this day, that is probably the reason why I stayed so long term, is because I started out well with a good foundation in language.
You started out doing language at Union Language School in Bangkok, is that right?
Yes.
So if someone's coming to Thailand today, would you recommend them go to a Bangkok or a Chiang Mai or a big city for the language learning, or go someplace out in the countryside? Like, what's the benefits and disadvantages of being, someplace with a lot more foreigners and a lot more English versus, that immersion experience?
Yeah. Well, obviously, Thailand, when I came 46 years ago, These big cities were not like they are now. They are very comfortable. You have all the amenities that you would have in the West, and you have both international schools using English, you have international type churches, and in many ways you don't really have to rely on Thai language. You can get by. And I'm very grateful that I was upcountry in a small Ampur town which only had 10,000 and I was the only foreigners there. That's not so true today. So my encouragement would be something like the Daniel Learning Center, which places you in a fairly comfortable large Ampur, but you're really in a community that's using Thai. In other words, there's very few Thai that are really that great in English, and it forces you to get your neighbors, to know your neighbors, to go to the market. So that was a wise decision to move out of the Union Language School in Bangkok to much more of an upcountry type training.
It's really, really difficult to get good Thai language if you're in that atmosphere, that location where there's a lot of English speakers. I mean, just in our human nature, we want things easy. We want people who can relate to us, so we can relate to them. We want familiar foods. So if you're in a big town like Chiang Mai or Bangkok, it's so easy to go find that foreign food, to find other people who speak your language. I mean, whether you're a native English speaker or Chinese speaker or Korean or German or whatnot, I mean, you can find those folks in a big city.
Yes.
So when the going gets tough, it's easy to check out rather than sort of press on.
Recently, I saw the statistics. We have, 77 different provinces, and over half of the EFT missionaries, I believe, are just in 2 cities.
Yeah.
Which speaks to the pull and the magnet that these large cities are for missionaries, mainly because of all the amenities that you spoke about. And you could add medical type care, obviously education for your children, and then just the fact that you can get by and live a fairly comfortable situation. And I'm in Chiang Mai myself. I enjoy a lot of the positives here.
So you, like I, started out in central Thailand. And I actually never lived in Bangkok. So since you did language study initially in Bangkok, by the time I came in the late 90s, OMF, our mission organization, they'd moved their language school to Lopburi, which is about a 3-hour drive from Bangkok. It's in a small city, so it has enough stuff there. You have electricity and plumbing and all the sort of modern stuff. But when I was there, I mean, there wasn't a Pizza Hut or some of the more modern stuff. And foreigners in the city, very, very few. Other than the other language learners, it was really just a Thai environment. And I was really thankful for that because it forced me to get out.
Yes.
So it's important to sort of jump into the deep end of the pool because left to our own devices, we will gravitate towards whatever is easy. And that's what happens in Chiang Mai. That's what happens in Bangkok.
Right. And I remember we would go to class in the morning, and then we were encouraged to go out in the afternoon and actually use what we learned that morning. And I think that principle was really a good balance because you not only got the academic grammar and the classroom type training in Thai, but you were expected to report on the experiences you had out in the world.
Yeah, and the classes that we did, I don't know how was it at Union, but when I was at the Lopburi Learning Center, I had individual classes with a teacher, with a Thai teacher who didn't necessarily speak any English. We just had some Thai books there, and we do a couple 45-minute sessions, maybe 4 days a week. I don't remember at this point. And then the rest of the day, you're expected to go home or go out in this community, go to the local market and just use your Thai. You practice a little and learn and use it a lot. Practice a little bit and use it a lot.
And I can remember, as far as using it, one of my burdens or needs was to get my wife out there too, because I realized I was going to get Thai. I had a lot of incentive as a minister, and I think this is a good topic as well, because OMF encouraged me to pull back some on my own language learning. And I can remember sending my wife to the library so she didn't have to watch the kids. I would be involved. I had 4 children, which took up a lot of time for my wife. The other thing is I got to go to lots of meetings and hear Thai preaching, teaching. And so on Sundays, I didn't go to the Thai church for the whole service. During the sermon, I would take the kids out to a playground and to make sure that my wife could concentrate, because otherwise all those kids were distracting her from listening to the Thai. So just an encouragement that husbands particularly, I think, need to be wise on helping their wives adjust. Because if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. And the more adjustment she makes to the culture through the language, the better it's going to be for the children, it's going to be better for the marriage and for ministry.
Yeah, that phrase can be taken to some unhealthy extremes. But at the same time, it's not just the man who's a missionary. The man and the wife, the husband and the wife are both missionaries. I mean, we could say more about language learning as a single. And if anyone can learn language as a single, if you come to Thailand and just learn language as a single, I mean, that's fantastic. So I came for a few years, and I lived with Thai guys, and my Thai friend taught me how to ride a motorcycle, and I went with the church youth, and dawn till dusk kind of stuff, and so just a lot of immersion. But even married, both the husband and the wife are missionaries, and if the couple and the family really wants to survive and thrive long term, both of them need to have some Thai.
Right. But I think, Karl, the reality different maybe from the early days when I came was many people are coming to the field with even teenagers, and they're starting into language, and they might be 40 years old. That's a different. I came to Thailand when I was 27. I had already completed a THM, and I still got here within my 20s. That was very helpful, and I'm not sure how to change that because you do have to raise support at home. You need your education. Often it's great that you have business experience, let's say, but it does mean you come to the field later maybe than missionaries in the past came, and that's going to be an extra challenge.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, ideally, you graduate, college, university, and you're 20 sometime, you come to the mission field. So I came when I was single. I went back. I did a Master's of Divinity. I met my wife, and we came with a 6 months old.
Yeah, we had a 9-month-old, and that was helpful too because my kids grew up in an environment of Thai. They got really good Thai, and 3 of them became missionaries, 3 of the 4. And I think part of that was they were learning the language when they were small, and they made adjustments within the culture. So I'm very positive about missionary experience for the family, but part of that is making sure even the family and the kids get exposure to Thai, because there are some families that will just say, send them to the English school or international school, and they're not getting tutored in Thai, and I think that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, if you're sending your kids to an international school, as wonderful as an education that might be, the Thai study at the international schools is often just kind of a token effort. I mean, you don't really learn a lot of Thai there. So if there's any way families can be, especially when the kids are little, if there's any way they can be out in Isan in the Northeast or the South or Central, just be in small towns and a completely Thai environment, and really be intentional about the whole family learning Thai. Not that the kids need to necessarily be, brilliant Thai speakers, but they'll enjoy life a whole lot more if they're able to go to the local market and say, I want 3 pork sticks, or I want, this drink from the smoothie seller. It just sort of it enhances the enjoyment of everyone in the family.
And I think you've been doing that, haven't you, with your kids? Do you have a tutor for them, or I know your kids are doing fairly well in Thai. At least the 2 younger ones, right?
At least the 2 younger ones, yeah. So we came, and for a number of years, we homeschooled, and our kids didn't really get a lot of Thai. We tried to do that, but they were resistant. We went away for a number of years. I did a PhD. I came back, and so we came back a few years ago, and our kids were, we had a couple teenagers and a preteen, and they were hesitant to come back because they didn't really have much Thai. They kind of gotten used to, the U.S., and we had been in Scotland and the U.S., and they could use English. They were good at English. They said, we're not sure we really want to come back. But we came back, and we got some Thai language learning books from the Lopri Learning Center. Our neighbor has come over and done language lessons with them. And we really pushed Thai hard on the homeschool. So all 3 of them now, they can understand some, basic conversational Thai. One of them, our middle child, she's actually done quite well. So she can talk about topics that are important to her, like chickens and baking cakes and those sorts of things. And knowing a little bit of Thai, it just really enhances their ability to understand what's happening around them and to appreciate Thai culture. So that's been a good experience. But the kids were resistant initially. But with kids, if you give them the option of learning Thai, they're not gonna learn Thai.
So you also help them by taking them to Thai church, I believe. And you're doing a balanced situation, aren't you, with international church and with the Thai church?
That's right. So when our family was younger, we were in central Thailand, we were in Bangkok. But when we came back a few years ago, our kids didn't have much Thai, and we thought, like, well, how are we going to take care of their spiritual and their social needs at the same time be invested in Thai church? So what we ended up doing is in the mornings, we're at a Thai church community. We're invested in ministry there, helping with discipleship. I'm helping with some sermon translation. But then in the afternoons, we're at an international church where the worship, the teaching is in English. Our kids have gotten some friends there. They're getting spiritual input in English. So being in a place like Chiang Mai, it facilitates that kind of thing.
Yes.
I mean, it's more difficult when you're in the countryside. So what you see sometimes is when families get to the stage where the kids are, 10 to 12 years old, they're having more educational needs, more social needs. You find families moving to larger cities for international schools. Mm-hmm. But the time in the countryside is really important. But even in Chiang Mai, if you come into Chiang Mai and you know some Thai already, or you have the intentionality to learn Thai, you and your kids, I mean, it's possible. Yeah. But it's good, especially for older kids. If you're coming in after being away for a while, coming in with teens or older kids, Chiang Mai allows you to invest in Thai ministry, but still you have some English language or other foreign language community that's available. Yeah. But coming to Chiang Mai, I don't know this personally because I learned Thai elsewhere where there was immersion experience. But people who come new to Chiang Mai say it's very difficult to learn Thai and get really good in Thai living in Chiang Mai just because there's so many options for escape, foreign community and foreign language church and all sorts of things like that. And the number of Thai people in Chiang Mai who speak English, is astounding. I think it's even more than Bangkok.
Right. And I think what from the experience of both of us is we had that privilege of being quite a while in a more rural country situation, immersion, and then we can come to the big city and still maintain our Thai, and both of us have that privilege of teaching at a master's level in Thai. And I don't think there's any way that I would be teaching master's level for like 30 years unless I had a very firm foundation at the beginning.
Even with all the modern tools that we have today, we have Google Translate, ChatGPT, and you can hold up two phones and have them talk to each other, and you can talk to people. But even with all those wonderful tools, if you actually don't know the local language, there's still that barrier there.
But some of those tools say that in 90 days you'll be speaking Thai.
Do you believe them?
I'd love to meet somebody that could get the Thai language in 90 days. That's great.
Despite what the advertisements given to me by the Facebook algorithm tell me, I don't think you can learn Thai quick and easy.
I think anything that's as valuable and as significant as a language where sometimes a whole discussion depends on one word.
Yeah.
This is what struck me about being on committees, being an elder in a church is I'm just grateful for those teachers that put my feet to the fire and really made me do the hard work because I know that certain conversations depend on me picking up maybe one key word. And if you miss that key word, you might miss the whole conversation.
And conversations move quickly.
Yeah.
Whether you're in a meeting or you're in just an informal conversation, just things, keep rolling along. You don't have time to Google Translate it as you go. By the time you figure out what they're saying, the conversation's moved on and you missed your opportunity.
Yeah, and Thai people will not correct you. It's amazing, probably in certain contexts, people would hear you say things wrong, but in Thailand they are so nice to you that they just let you say a word wrong for like 40 years. I know the other day someone corrected me and I said, I've been saying that word wrong for 40 years. And I would have rather had somebody correct me. I think it speaks to the need to actually get updated. And maybe even as someone that's been in a language for a while, we used to actually get together as more senior workers and have lessons to even update people who are fairly fluent in the language.
It's important to find those Thai friends who will correct you because they're concerned about saving face, saving your face. Yes. So if you're saying something wrong for 40 years, people are not going to correct you because you're the teacher, you're the pastor, and they dare not correct you because you might feel bad about that.
Yes.
I mean, that's not how you're feeling. You'd rather have them correct you rather than
Amen.
continue to embarrass
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
So in language learning, I find it's really key to find those Thai friends who are really going to be honest with you. Maybe it's someone around your same age, so there's not less awkwardness.
Right.
But those Thai friends are really key.
And speak directly to them and say, you have the right to correct any of my Thai.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times those might be a teacher that is very sensitive to it and can actually help you.
When people come to Thailand and they think about language learning, some people get really anxious. Like, how long will it take to learn language? And people ask me this all the time. How long does it take to become fluent in Thai? And I think, well, I don't feel like I'm fluent really. I teach at a master's level. I can preach. I can, practically speak, I can do almost, all of what I need to do in Thai. But I still miss things. Mm-hmm. There's conversations where I still think, oh, I don't know quite what's going on here. I'll just try to piece it together and make something up, mm-hmm. and hopefully it comes together. So what would you say to a new missionary coming in who thinks, okay, I want to learn Thai, I want to do Thai church planting or evangelism, something that I need to be talking to Thai people. How long does it take to learn Thai?
I think a greater question has been those that have come up to me, and when they say, how long have you been here? I say 46 years. They say, do you speak Thai? And I'm always amazed at that question. I know a good plan that OMF followed. I'm not sure if we're still doing it this mm-hmm. way, but I was full-time my first year, mm-hmm. half-time my second year, third year, and when I finished my first term, I took a 6-year grade school test. Mm-hmm. And I can remember it was more like an essay that you had to write in Thai. Also, in Bangkok, because I was in Bangkok and there were little small churches, I actually preached it 9 months. And the other day I came across my writing, which was like kindergarten Thai writing, but I had manuscript that particular message. And lo and behold, I gave that same message last week from Titus chapter 2, verse 11 through 13, because that was kind of a go-to sermon that I'd done in mm-hmm. America. So everybody's going to have their own style in language learning. I can remember I labeled everything in my house. My wife got extremely tired of that because she would pull open a drawer and there would be a label on the fork and the spoon and the knife. And then the dresser drawer had a label and the mirror had a label. But I was pretty diligent. And I think what's great today is you have all those internet aids. Mm-hmm. There is absolutely no excuse for not being exposed a lot to the language, because when you're, instead of going to YouTube and watching some innocuous entertainment, you can actually review vocabulary, you can watch a teacher at all the different levels of mm-hmm. Thai on your cell phone.
I'm glad you brought up technology tools, because I've asked some new people who've come, are you studying Thai? And they say, oh, I'm watching some YouTube videos, or I'm using Duolingo. Mm-hmm. But I've tried Duolingo a little bit. I was learning a little bit of Chinese. It's just glorified flashcards. Mm. You're not going to learn Thai just using, Duolingo or some kind of app. And if you're just watching and listening to a Thai teacher on the internet, you can't hear yourself making those tonal errors. Mm-hmm. You need a real live Thai person there with you to say, no, you're using the wrong tone. Mm-hmm. I think if you come from a tonal language, if you're a native Chinese speaker or speak some other tonal language, you're going to hear those tones much more. But for someone like you and I who are native English speakers, we're not hearing those tones naturally. So we need someone to correct us. So even with all the technology in the world, you still need a live person there to help you learn.
What I find is if you're in a dialect and have to go to a different dialect, for instance, I've met so many Lao people that are very good in Thai. Mm-hmm. And when I went to Dallas my last time on furlough, I actually went to a Lao church, not a Thai church. And I think that speaks to the fact that you can watch movies. I've asked these Lao people, mm-hmm. why did they speak Thai so well? They said, growing up, we didn't have Lao movies. Mm-hmm. We had Thai movies.
Yeah.
And so, how long does it take you? Well, it obviously depends on your discipline and your commitment to the language. And like you said, the willingness to have one-on-one, face-to-face type mm-hmm. communication and not rely on virtual type training.
And Thai is one of the languages you really can't just pick up on the go. I mean, I know there's some Americans who go to Europe and they're just, they're in Spain or France or Germany, and they sort of pick up some of the language as they go. But Thai, because it's a different script, it's a totally different grammar, and the tones, you really just can't sort of, pick it up as you go. So when missionaries come, they just really need to just intentionally and regularly dedicate themselves to Thai, at least for the first year.
Well, and that 1 year that you just mentioned is important because in a Thai situation, you've got a year of training, whereas if you go into Japanese or Chinese, you've got 2 years of classroom work. The other interesting thing is Indonesian language is only 6 months. That's my understanding, is that as far as the Asian language that OMF works in, that's one of the quicker ones to pick up on. But like you said, with the tones, with 65 letters, you got 44 consonants and 21 vowels. Europeans that come here who have more than one language, I can say this, if you are fluent in a couple of languages, picking up that third language is that much easier. I was truly monolingual, and like lots of the American friends I have, they struggle more, particularly than those Europeans that come out knowing 3 or 4 languages.
So before I came to Thailand, during university, I had spent my junior year abroad in France. So my French isn't very good now, but I had learned another language. So I did university classes in France and lived with the host family. So I felt like, hey, I learned one language, I can do another. So that gave me some confidence coming in. But I realized it wasn't going to happen right away. So I said to people, before you come and visit me, give me a year and a half at least to get my sea legs under me to sort of, get accustomed to Thai. And really it does take, a year and a half of full or close to full-time study. I'm sympathetic to people who just come here and say, hey, I need to, start working right away for visa purposes. So there's a number of instances where people just don't have the time. But some people do have the time, but they just don't prioritize it.
So I didn't speak 2 modern languages, but like yourself, I had to study some ancient languages. And so I could say I had a real advantage because I was a Hebrew major when I first started in seminary.
Okay.
And I picked up a lot of Greek. And I was way ahead of my wife because when it started using grammatical terms and the tenses and the declensions and the ideas of how language actually fits, because in Thai you're going to have a difference between the subject, verb, object, or you're going to have issues that start with an adjective and where you're going to place it. I think it's a great advantage if you have studied Latin, Greek, Hebrew, or some other language. So those are not wasted.
Right.
And at times I often thought, was my Greek wasted? But it actually pushed me ahead in really understanding Thai language.
One of the wonderful things about the Thai language, it doesn't have those cases, it doesn't have those declensions like, Greek or German or Latin. So one of the brilliant things about the Thai language in terms of tenses, present tense, go. Past tense, go already. Future tense, will go.
That's right.
In the far future, it's like, in 3 weeks, I go. So there's a simplicity of the grammar, and there's no masculine or feminine in terms of the noun and stuff. Like you study French, it's like, oh, what gender is a table again? I can't remember this. But we don't have any of that in Thai. So grammatically, it's actually simpler than any of these European languages, although it's the tones that really get you.
But the writing system, obviously, because like in Hebrew, you're going to find markers that are going to go above, behind, in front, behind, in front of the consonant behind, and they run together.
Right.
And people look at a Thai sentence and think, where in the world do you separate the words out? The other thing is because it's taken from Bali and Sanskrit, you're going to have some letters that seemingly make no sense. They are just silent letters. And to understand Thai spelling, I am so glad that I can just speak into my computer and it immediately makes my spelling correct, because I am not a good speller in the Thai language.
You must have a better computer than I do, because I do the whole speech-to-text thing, and it picks up all my pronunciation errors. If I have a vowel that's too long, it picks it up in the
other places.
in places
that
there
happens
as well.
To me too.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the problems I see with people coming in and wanting to do language is sometimes their team leaders don't give them the opportunity to do so. They're pushed into doing ministry too quickly.
Yes.
Or you have a home church which says, in 2 years you need to plant a church. It's like, oh my goodness, it takes at least 2 years to really sort of get up to speed in language and culture. But there's this pressure from home. There was a Dutch missionary colleague, and They told me that they'd been in language study for 3 months, and they got a letter from a supporter asking how many converts they'd made. And they thought, like, oh my goodness, I can barely, say my name or pay my power bill. So expectations are really, really important for yourself from mission leadership and also from the people back home.
It's very important to understand and do your homework to find out the best mission agency or group to come with. Because recently I talked to a young man that had been sent out from a good church in America, but they were actually in charge of most everything about his ministry here. And a church in Chicago is not going to understand what a church in rural Thailand is like. And when the new missionary runs into issues and problems, it's going to be very difficult to give advice. And that's why I'm grateful that OMF keeps its headquarters, its training on the field, so that when we've had trouble in our adjustments, we can go to someone that is on the ground, that has had the local experience. And I just highly encourage people to do your homework on coming out with somebody that really can understand the culture and language.
It's just really good as a new missionary to connect up with senior missionaries or an organization or someone in the country who can be a mentor, can be an advisor, can sort of orient you. It'll really help you to sort of get up to speed with language and culture and ministry much more quickly. I want to talk about why doing ministry through translation is a bad idea. Because I see this happen. People come out and they may study a little bit language or not much language, but they go for years and years, and they primarily hire Thai people to do the translation for preaching, or they go out and do an outreach in the villages, and they're handing out toys for the kids and doing a little sermon and kids activities, or they even do a church plant, and they don't speak hardly any Thai at all. All the preaching, a lot of the ministry is just done through translation.
Yeah, I had an experience of meeting somebody that told me they tried for about 6 months to do Thai and they just gave up on it. And so they hired full-time a Thai person to go with them in every ministry situation. And this was a very active type person. I think he was in his early 40s, so he had a lot of ministry ready to go, and he just totally gave up on Thai. And I was thinking, that's quite a bit of money to put into a person to be with you 24/7 when you go up country, that he's your main, how much better to be able to relate directly to the Thai, because you give great honor to the Thai people, even if you are trying your best in Thai and make a lot of mistakes. I think at one point I was patting myself on the back and I saw someone crying after I had preached, and the Thai said, well, you shouldn't feel that good about it. I think he's crying because your Thai was so bad. But honestly, making good attempts at language is a way of ministry. It's a way of honoring. I know when I talk to people in English, that English is a second language. I really listen well, and I appreciate their efforts. Even if it's a poor effort, I appreciate their desire to actually connect with me, to connect with my culture.
And people really value that. So if a foreigner comes in, they actually put a concerted effort into learning Thai, even if they don't get everything right, even if their range of vocab is not fantastic. The Thai people feel like, hey, this person puts importance on our language, on our culture, and there's a relationship that can be established when you're speaking the same language rather than going through translation. If you're doing something through translation, there's always a barrier. There's a linguistic barrier, there's a social, there's a cultural barrier between you and the other person.
I knew a missionary named Grace, and I wrote a full article on this. I need to look it over once again, but she ended up only having about 500, 600 words in Thai, and she was here for multiple years. But she worked with children, and her name was Grace, and she had an unusual impact because many of those young kids that she discipled became church leaders later on. And I always thought how interesting that she only got to a very low level, but it was a level that was good enough to work with the children. But overall, her love for the children is what overpowered even her inability in language.
Yeah, on the one hand, we don't want to over-spiritualize this, like, oh, even if your language is complete rubbish and you can barely say anything, as long as you love Jesus and love people, everything will be okay.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I know you're not saying that. So, some people do, which is why I bring it up. we need to really try hard to get good language, but at the same time, we need to realize we're never going to be as good as a native speaker. We're never going to have the same range of vocabulary. We're going to say things wrong. I mean, there's still sounds I have issues with. I listen to myself on video, and it's like, oh wow, I really garbled that, and it's humbling, realizing like I'm even at this level. It's like I'm never going to be awesome. I'm not going to be great at this. So we really need to depend upon God to use whatever we have in order to serve Him.
Yeah, I like to say you can be 150% missionary.
What does that mean?
Okay. So Jesus was a 200% person in that he was 100% man and 100% God.
Fully
right?
God, fully man.
And he fully was Jewish, fully incorporated. Well, I'm from America, so I'm 100% American when I came here. And what I've tried to do is reduce my Americanness, let's say, to 75%. And then I've been here for 40 years, so I've tried to get up to maybe 75% as Thai. I will never change this nose or my skin color, but I can, in my language and my understanding of the culture, maybe be a 75% Thai, and then reduce my Americanness to 75%, which makes me 150% missionary.
Okay,
And
that's
I've
a
met
fascinating.
missionaries that end up being still 100% American. They will go up to 50% Thai, but they're still very, very clearly American. And I think that's been a good illustration someone gave me, is try your best to reduce your home culture and truly increase as much as you can your understanding of the Thai culture.
I think something to bring up here is code switching or understanding the environment you're in. So I'm in a Thai environment and I'm using Thai. There's sort of Thai modes of conversation, things I'd say, things I wouldn't say, ways that approach things that would be more Thai. But then if I go back on home assignment or if I'm with a North American or European group of people, then I realize I can switch and sort of do things a different way. So it's like we need to become both cultures, at the same time.
And that switch isn't easy because when I'm going home to the States pretty soon, and more than once I have driven down the wrong side of the street when I get to America, and people have screamed and yelled at me in the car because they're afraid they were going to die. But I was so used to driving on a certain side of the road, and it does change when you get back to the States.
When you're driving straight, it's fine, but when you get to that intersection and
Which
there's no one else around, it's like, where should I be? Where should I be?
Right.
What I always mess up with is the windshield wipers and the turn signals because they're on opposite sides of the steering column.
That's right.
So
How many times have I tried to turn and I'm hitting the windshield wipers?
Yes,
Right.
I've done that many times.
One thing, just as a tip, put the dotted line close to you because the steering wheel is always going to be next to the dotted line, right?
You as a driver should be in the center of the road.
That's right. That's it.
Let me ask you a thought. In order to be a successful language learner, especially a Thai language learner, like what kind of characteristics do you need? Like what needs to be true of you in order to really succeed in Thai?
Yeah, I think the willingness to make mistakes. If you're an adult and you are a minister, you probably have a level of pride, and it's very hard to become a child back at the level of learning language just like a child. So you have to have the humility to receive. And I think you need a curiosity. You need the willingness to ask questions. I think one of the positive things that someone encouraged me is just when you don't understand something, go ahead and ask. And if you are a more Socratic type language learner where you're asking lots of questions, you don't let things just pass by, but you stop people and say, I just really didn't understand that. And be curious about the things around you, the objects, like I labeled all these objects, and to this day I remember that. For me also was the Bible modules were important because I wanted to know how to speak with people on a spiritual level. And there was a poster set of 9 different
They
talks,
still sell that.
and they still sell it, and it's 50, 60 years old. But phrases from that training 40 years ago still stick with me. And so I'm very much a narrative storyteller type. I think you can pick up a lot of good language by working with a story type approach.
In that vein, sometimes I recommend to people who are even new here, they don't know hardly any Thai at all. I say, go to a Thai church. Even if you're not understanding
right.
anything, like over time, you will understand. Maybe the first week, all you get is, krap and, sawatdi. That's all you get. But the next week, it's like, I heard the number 2, and, then the next week, oh, I heard the word God several times. And,
I was told to take a notebook and then write down the words as you pick them up and listening to a sermon. And I can remember the first time I sat, I just had one word.
You got to start someplace.
And that word wasn't crup, it was C-R-A-P, because I didn't know how to write it in Thai.
That's not the recommended transliteration of that.
No, that's not the recommended. But I just think that's a funny aspect of starting out, is you're really going to be humbled.
Yeah.
And you do have to start from ground zero and listen to Thai even though you don't understand it.
And it takes effort, it takes discipline to do that, because you think to yourself, I want to be in a church service where I'm being spiritually fed. But the reality is, if you're in a Thai church service, in order to learn Thai, you may not be spiritually fed because you don't have any idea what's going on. So as a missionary, I think you really need to be a spiritual self-feeder. You need to be able to have the Word of God, really read and meditate upon God's Word and in prayer. And if you're not getting spiritually fed at church, like find another way in your own language to get spiritually fed until you get to that point where you're actually getting something out of the sermon.
So you talk about listening to a sermon. I try to say the words along, at this stage, I try to say the words along with the person who is preaching. And I also do simultaneous translation, which I know you do in your church.
Right.
So those are little tricks, I think, of the trade, in a sense, to actually try to say words. Maybe you can't say it right with the person, but as you move along in your language, if you can speak along, you're putting tracks into your mind with phraseology and putting sentences together in a proper Thai way. And I can tell you, I still do that after 46 years. I listen to a sermon and I'm following the words and trying to say them in my mind as it's being spoken.
I'm listening to preachers, I'm listening to people praying. It's like, what phrases are they using?
Yes.
And what you said a moment ago with the little notebook, like I had that little notebook as well. Maybe people now, they record it in their phone, but you hear a word, it's like, what is that? Whether you hear it correctly or incorrectly, you can write it down. Even now, you can hear a word incorrectly. You can put it into ChatGPT or some other AI and say, hey, I heard a word that sounds like this. Like, does it possibly mean this or that or the other thing? And, Ajahn Chat, ChatGPT will say, oh, you're probably thinking of this word. And you can figure a lot of stuff out that way as well.
True.
There's a number of things that prevent people from advancing their Thai, so getting to really good language study. In your mind, in your experience, what are those same things that prevent, well-intentioned people from actually learning Thai and getting to a high level?
We've spoken to some of the aspects of that. I think the one word I'll come back to is distraction. Is because the way those early missionaries picked up language so easily, like James Hudson Taylor, I think in 6 months he was going great guns in a very difficult language of Chinese, is because he had no distractions. And we are hugely distracted, unable to actually focus on the job at hand because there's an unbelievable amount of things vying for our attention. And I think that's why we've talked about don't get in a big city, don't live a lifestyle where you have 7 hours on your cell phone like you did in the States. In fact, probably putting away a cell phone in the early days of your language learning would be the very best thing to do.
Especially in those early days of language study. So I started doing my language study in 1999, so that was, many years after you did your initial language study. But still, I started in the pre-Facebook era. So I had a physical dictionary, and the only sort of foreign input we had, other than actual real human people, is once in a while we were able to find a movie at the store, a disc that was the original soundtrack, and that was our little escape into the world that we'd come from. Other than that, there wasn't anything. But now, with the phone, with the computer, in an instant, your mind, your heart is wrapped up in all the political debates or theological debates or whatever is happening with the people from your home country, friends in other parts of the world. So you could be in the middle of no place in Thailand, but you're completely mentally, spiritually, you're in a different place. Your heart is in a completely different place, and it's really hard to just put that aside and really focus.
Yeah. What strikes me there is that you start out on the internet, and then suddenly the 5 minutes you intended to spend becomes
1 hour
an
later,
hour,
yeah.
or 2 hours later, and it's often innocuous entertainment. It is not something that's really benefiting you or building you up. It's just something you get sucked into.
Yeah, what I find myself is, in the past, I've gotten wrapped up in these like theological debates or theological articles and this stuff online. And you tell yourself like, but it's edifying. It's like theology. It's not like entertainment. It's not
Right.
technically entertainment, but
Right.
it's like, is this what I need to be doing right now? Before God, what is my call? What is my responsibility right now? Is it to try to correct someone on the other side of the world that has errant theology? Or is it to study language? Is it to really focus on where I am, what I'm doing, helping myself and my family acquire the language, acquire the culture, maintain our spiritual vitality in Christ in order to be serving God where we are and with the people that are around us? And it's tough. When I first came to the field, you talked about traveling earlier. When I first came to the field, I was in Lopre, and the language supervisor, I asked his advice on something. I said, I've only been here a couple months, but I have some friends in the U.S. who are getting married. They're very good friends from college. I want to go back. And he said, I'm not going to forbid you, but I don't recommend it. He said, you've only been here a couple months. Thai you're still learning Thai. And if you leave for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's really going to set back your Thai language study. And even though I was really kind of sad not to go to their wedding, and they'd offered to actually pay for the plane ticket, so it was really tempting.
Yeah.
I said, I'm really, really sorry.
So I'm getting ready to go on my furlough, on my home assignment, and I'm a month away. I've often said missionaries are worthless that month before they leave, because often their minds are projecting into their home country. They might have had a 4-year difficult term. They're so excited. They're packing. They're interacting with the home side, getting their travel and all. And then the other thing is when you come back, you're not in very good shape for the month you come back because then you're adjusting back to it. So if in your first term you go home twice, which I've talked to other missionaries, they've had a wedding, they've had an issue, so they've gone back, and you've not wiped out just a month. You've wiped out a couple of months. So isn't it nice that in the early days, those CIM missionaries had 7-year terms?
That's a long time.
Now, a 7-year term would be considered long-term missionary. That's almost 2 terms today. So there's no question that they got involved with language and culture and really did great in their ministry is because they were truly committed. And I think to plant a church, that's one thing that we should discuss. How much language do you need and how much time do you need in order to actually do a viable church plant? Because if there's one thing needed in Thailand, it's churches in all of the different provinces, the Dampons and the Mubans. And if there's a crying need for missionaries now, and there always has been in Thailand, is people with a heart to do a church plant in places where Christ has not been named. And we've had that opportunity to do that. So when I look back on my career, 46 years, one of the best things I did was plant a church because that church is still in existence.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a little challenge. If you really have a heart for missions in Thailand, start thinking about how I can prepare myself best to actually plant a church.
I think we need to have a maximalist attitude rather than a minimalist attitude, whether it's, Bible education before coming to the field or whether it's language study. We shouldn't be asking, what's the minimum I need to do in order to sort of, get on with something else, get on with doing the ministry I want to. The question should be, what's the maximum I'm able to do to best prepare myself to have the most impact for the kingdom of God, to be the most effective missionary minister of the gospel that I can possibly be.
Yeah.
Now,
Expect great things from God and attempt great things, right? That's what Mary's desire, and he certainly fulfilled that, yeah.
So at the end of the day, there's just no replacement for language study. I mean, I appreciate that, there's a number of other ministries that people are doing in Thailand, going around doing seminars or doing training stuff. I mean, we're involved in a training institution at Chiang Mai Theological Seminary, but we're both involved in the local church as well. And unless you have a high level language, it's really difficult to have that involvement in the local church. And even though some of the big cities, there is more English, if you're out in the countryside or even the smaller towns, you just need to know the local language, which in our case is Thai.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, I can't learn Thai or it's hard. I think everybody can, but it's not going to happen quickly. A Thai pastor said to me one time, it takes 7 years for a missionary to develop their language ability to a point where they can function on par with a Thai pastor. Not that they'll have native accent, fluency, that kind of thing,
right.
but in terms of actually being able to evangelize, disciple, to be able to get the job done, however imperfectly, it takes 7 years. Now I think this pastor was just sort of pulling that out of the hat,
yes, right.
based on his own experience. But I shared that with some people, and they said, yeah, kind of like that. Some people said, yeah, I think it takes even longer, maybe 10 to 12 years. Wow, some people aren't even in here 12 years.
Right. And we've had that privilege of being here in a longevity way, and I think that's our plea probably from what we're putting together here is if you want to get language, there's a level of commitment and time that is unavoidable. I don't think there's any quick fix, any real shortcuts. There is some hard discipline type lifestyle in order to get language, and believe me, the reward and the benefits that you get by actually doing that hard work will show up, maybe not immediately, but in the future.
I think it's like a marathon. So I run, my oldest son, we run together. We've done a couple marathons. And when people hear, oh, you run a marathon, that's wonderful. That sounds really hard. I don't think I could do that. But a marathon, how do you train for a marathon? You just do a little bit of it at a time. I turned 50 recently, so I'm not doing these marathons very fast. But when I started training for it, I did my first, 6-mile run. I walked a little bit. My son's like, hey, Dad, are you okay? But it built up from there, and you just sort of, get out there, just each week, 3, 4, runs. Some are short, some are a little bit longer, some are very slow. Some days you feel awful. You just get back and it's like, oh, I'm completely exhausted. Like, what am I doing? Why am I torturing myself like this? I think running is fun. Not everybody does, but still, there's pain.
Right.
But mostly, it's a lot of work, just little by little, just sort of building up and developing. And language studies like that as well. You're not going to be a brilliant speaker in 6 months. If you come and you study Thai full time, within 6 months, you will get to a basic conversational level. You'll be able to start to have relationships. You'll be able to start to be friends with people. At the year mark, the year and a half, you're starting to be able to pray with people, understand some Bible studies. You get your Thai English Bible, and you're like, oh, I kind of get some stuff now. But it just takes time, and it builds over time.
Yeah.
But over time, there's a joy, there's a satisfaction. You have more satisfying relationships with people. You have less frustration and less cultural stress because you kind of understand what's going on. You're not confused about what's going on around you.
Yeah. It's like eating an elephant. We're in Thailand, so elephants are prevalent here.
We don't eat them, though. It's just a metaphor, everybody. Okay, no.
But how do you eat an elephant?
How do you eat an elephant?
Yeah, you're going to do it one bite at a time over a long period, and that long view of what it takes to get language, I think, is what we're highlighting and underlining now.
And just because sometimes your language plateaus, or you have a bad language day, where you just like nothing comes together, and you feel like, oh, I'm a disaster. Like I'm not understanding anything today. Like what's wrong with me? Like am I cut out for this? It's okay. Everyone has a bad day sometimes, whether it's, you're doing a sport or you're doing language study. Sometimes it just all falls apart. Well, what do? You go home.
Get back up again.
You get back up again, and you just, keep on pressing on with trust that if God has called you here, He will, over time, He'll help you to acquire the skills you need to do what He's called you to do.
One point that was helpful to us, we had a house help. It's very economical in this country to have house help. And just the other day we went to visit her. We actually used her 30 years ago. So now she's in her 60s.
Okay.
And she was the one that kind of raised our kids along with my wife. Because she was there in the house every day helping because we had 4 kids. And I told people the other day, get a Thai helper. And your kids will be unusually good in Thai if they're with somebody that doesn't speak any English.
That's key.
So this is just a little tip that we found very helpful in our family. And it was a relationship that brought this person to Christ as well, which is the greatest benefit from long exposure.
So I want to come back to expectations a little bit. So you've been here 46 years. I've been here, 10, 20 years. For those who are thinking about becoming a missionary, they're thinking about language study, like, can I do it? Am I ever going to be fluent? Like, when people ask you, like, are you fluent? What do you say? Do you ever get to a point of, like, native fluency?
Well, they talk about having dreams in Thai. So sometimes I do have dreams in Thai.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're nightmares. But I feel relaxed in the culture. I think that's the nice thing is at the beginning, everything was different, or I'd say that not just different, wrong.
Yeah.
And I've gotten over that.
Yeah.
I've actually come to appreciate many aspects of Thai culture, language that I didn't appreciate in the beginning. So that only comes over this long period of adjustment. And I can say the deepness of relationships, I just got out of an elder meeting, and we were talking at a deep level.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because of the language ability, but it was the fact that we were able to genuinely heart communicate. I was able to use language that really spoke to the emotional level of that discussion. And that's why Jesus incarnated. He had to study Hebrew. He studied Aramaic, right? And in his heart language, he related. We get it in the Greek language over into English. But we can never forget that Jesus, as a young boy, had to study language. And then he put those marvelous words into various languages. And today, how many thousands of languages do we have that beautiful message from him?
And when you know that language at the deep level, you, like a master craftsman, even though we're not, masters, we can choose the precise word that we want. Having learned Thai, we kind of know how certain words feel, the connotation of them. So one of the notorious words that are difficult to translate in Thai is grangjai. It's translated as, deferring to someone or, being considerate of someone, but none of them really capture that.
No.
Other words, like when someone says lambak, it's like, oh, that's just such a, just a pain, such a hassle. But in Thai, it has this certain feeling.
Yeah.
Or there's this Thai word, noi jai. And when someone says, like, oh, they feel noi jai, like, you can translate that, as, feeling put out or feeling belittled or this or that. But it has sort of a certain life of its own in Thai. And when you know Thai, you can sort of choose those words. You can choose them intentionally. What I found is that when you know Thai, the cultural stress comes down. You talked about feeling, what did you say, easy, at ease?
At ease, comfort level. I have a comfort level in the language culture.
So, you or I, if we needed to, go talk to a handyman, or we had a traffic accident on the way home, or someone just, called us, we could just roll with that. You just sort of, just talk. We're not always going from English and translating in our head and doing that. So there's a certain, easiness that comes. There's a certain level of satisfaction. There's relational satisfaction. We're talking about family earlier. If your spouse, if your kids have some level of, comfort in the language, then they'll feel more at ease. They'll feel more at home. There's a satisfaction in just living here.
Yes.
Even if, we're never really going to be Thai. No one's ever going to look at us someday and say, oh, you're not Thai? Really? I had no idea. We're just never going to look the part. But you can be an accepted outsider. You stop being, that white guy, and you start being just, Larry or Karl.
Once I was talking with somebody on the phone who was a stranger, and the person was speaking Thai, and I was speaking Thai. And then after about 2 or 3 minutes, she said, well, I'm German. And I said, well, I'm American. Because we were both at a level of our language where we couldn't pick it up from either end. And I know I once went to a funeral. Kosvici was martyred in central Thailand when I was a new missionary. And I was standing outside listening to somebody preach inside for the funeral. And I said, who is that Thai pastor? And they turned to me and said, oh, that's our director. That's the leader, David Pickard.
Yeah.
And he went on to be the general director.
Yeah.
And I will never forget that, because that was an incentive to be able to preach like he did, and have someone like myself not figure out that he was from England and not from Thailand.
There's a handful of missionaries I've met. who they just have really, really good Thai. I listen to them and think, wow, I'd love to just have that fluidity. I mean, I can speak Thai at the level. I can, get the job done, and I'm, teaching and preaching and writing in Thai. But at the same time, I listen to myself, review what I write, and think like, it just doesn't sound Thai. It just doesn't sound. It's not what a Thai person would say, the way they'd express it. The accent or the fluency, and it's like, I feel a little bit jealous, but we're all different. But it's possible to get to that point. But even if you don't attain that level of brilliant fluency, I mean, God can use that. And that's something to really be thankful for.
Yeah. Amen.
So this has been a good conversation. I hope those who've been listening have appreciated this, that you've learned something helpful, that you've been inspired, encouraged, or challenged. Learning Thai is possible. Learning a language is possible. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But if we have humility, patience, we're able to laugh at ourselves and depend upon the grace of God, language learning can happen. And it's something that God has for missionaries, is necessary in many cases. But you can do it through the grace of God.
So I'd like to pray for particularly new language learners.
Let's do that.
Father God, we are so grateful that you have all the helps that you have provided in this modern time and through the internet and through various ways. We just ask that you would help us to take advantage of those various helps, but more importantly, Lord, may we be devoted to language in order that we know culture and be able to best express in a clear way the gospel message. Father, we ask for fluency at the level that is most helpful and the discipline that is needed. We pray for the fruit of the Spirit. May we truly have self-control in this area, but as just was said, that we might enjoy it, that it might be fun in many ways, and that it might allow us, Lord, to get into the heart and mind of the Thai people so that they would see that we love them. And one of the ways that we minister to them is by seeking to communicate the wonderful message of the gospel as clearly as possible. For we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.